Two-game NBA slate, and we got to do the work here once again to find the must-plays and the splash plays for today across DFS, across prop betting. Of course, to get there, what we're going to do is compare my projections, some of the industry leaders out there, like our friend Stokastic, looking at some ownership along the way as well. We're hopping over to Unabated and see what their best bets are right now using market-based data. Run a DFS sim, see what Stokastic thinks are the best ROI lineups. By in this video, you'll know all the must-plays, industry-wide, and my splash plays. For today's slate, let's get into it here. Yesterday, a bit of a weird one where we talked a lot about the conditional stuff of Mobley not playing, Garland not playing, Hunter also not playing as well. Ended up getting three guys not playing there. If you are, of course, on the Discord, mentioned immediately, Cavs looking like must plays to me. Had a crazy projection on Donovan Mitchell, crazy projection on Ty Jerome. Had 100% of both guys. One of them went really well. One of them missed 15 fucking shots. That's a tough scene, but feel like got a lot of things right on yesterday's slate. You ended up having to have Neesmith, some other guys that were maybe not the most expected projection-wise to get there. That's how it goes here. But let's dig in on today's slate and talk about some guys, starting with Nikola Jokic here, top projected player on the slate. We got 68.9 fantasy points, almost a very nice number for Nikola Jokic. Stokastic has him at 66.5. Game one of the series for Denver here. We did see a lot of scoring for Jokic fantasy-wise in that spot. Ended up putting, I believe, 85 or just shy of 85 fantasy points. You can see the rotation here. Same thing we got last series. Jokic playing 42 minutes. The Nuggets overall, besides Michael Porter Jr., locked into a bunch of minutes. So 40-plus for Brown, for Jokic, for Jamal Murray, 39 for Aaron Gordon, who's the game winner in that spot. And then Porter Jr. and Westbrook, 54 minutes between them. Westbrook closes out again with 30 minutes. That's the main thing to know. Obviously, for Jokic, though, we don't really need to know a whole lot. If he's going to be out there 40 minutes, if the Thunder can't stop him, which we saw in game one, it's going to be a spot where you want to play a lot of Jokic. So nothing surprising here. 40% ownership for the field of Jokic. I'm getting 56%. He looks like an impossibly good value to me at an 11K salary, 6.3x value based on my projection. It's one of those things here where this playoff slate is another one where we've had a few where the pricing has been, I think, caught up a little bit more relative to guys' results they've gotten so far this year. This does not look like one of those slates. Jokic is not priced correctly. Tatum's not priced correctly. SGA is not priced correctly. Towns is not priced correctly. Brunson is not priced correctly. Jalen Williams is not priced correctly. Jalen Brown, close. Jamal Murray, close. Josh Hart, close. But really, all the top guys are too cheap here. So it's really a thing to me where my favorites are going to be Jokic, Tatum, and Towns. You can make a case for any of these guys here, and the ownership's going to be pretty split between some of these top guys who are projected well today. Shout out to chat as well. Got Steven here. Tea later. I don't drink tea. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what the bid is, Steven, but I appreciate whatever you're saying. Big Rob, hoping today's better than yesterday. It's always the case. Even if you have a good yesterday, you should always hope the next day is better. And appreciate Chunk being here. Appreciate all you guys watching live. And if you can, show some love, hit that like button and subscribe if you're new around here. Shows every day, usually around 1 p.m. And we should be back on track now after the last couple of days. Had some things sidetracking me with vet appointments, people doing stuff around the house. Thankfully, HVAC is all good now, guys. So all your concerns could finally be laid to rest. Jason Tatum, my number 2 guy in projections, $9,200 salary. Got him for 69% ownership today. Fields at 37. 56.4 projection for me, so 5 fantasy points higher than Stokastic. The reason would be that Tatum in the playoffs so far putting up just shy of a 35% usage rate. He is at 34.1% usage, 1.43 fantasy points per minute, DraftKings points that is. For comparison's sake, Jalen Brown is at 1 flat. Derek White's at 0.95. Kristaps Porzingis is at 0.9. Really nothing that's stopping Tatum at this point from getting his shots up. And frankly, too, game disappointment last time out for Boston. One of the many teams to blow that game one unexpectedly. Jason Tatum, I think, coming out gunning again in this spot and hopefully not blowing the game or trying to put more points up to avoid his team blowing the game would be a likely thing here. So for Tatum, feeling pretty good about the numbers that we have here. Almost 2x a field for me right now. But certainly I'm paying a price tag of not getting SGA at all because I'm going to get a ton of Tatum, ton of Jokic, SGA, the forgotten man of the group. For me, at least. Ownership-wise for Stokastic, though, SGA coming up 39% of the time. I'm only at 5% for me. I am 3.1 points lower. I also have Tatum projected straight up 4 points better than SGA, so that's going to lead me to more Tatum, less Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The issue really is that these guys are probably very similar plays, very similar ranges of outcomes, different positionality, so I think if the sim gives you a lot more Tatum than SGA, that could be the reason why. But for me with Tatum here, I think he looks pretty good. But I think SGA also looks good, just not quite as good. So like SGA here, I think when I get down to lineups more, maybe capping myself. I mean, yesterday honestly, I completely fucked myself in yesterday's slate because for the first time in a while, I was just like, I'm going to raw dog what I'm getting exposure-wise and put, full, again, I mentioned 100% Mitchell, 100% of Ty Jerome. I also had like 90% Jaron Allen, 90% Max Strus, and then like 70% Dean Wade or something like that. So like a lot of Cavs I went with yesterday. Normally what I'll do for myself is I'll cap my exposure. So if I'm getting that much, I'll give myself only 70% Ty Jerome and then try to like boost up the guys that would succeed if he fails. And what happened yesterday is that Ty Jerome failed. The guy that would have succeeded if he failed is probably Sam Merrill. Sam Merrill puts up, I think, just shy of 30 fantasy points. Really beats out Ty Jerome handedly here. It's really what you should be doing, not just with value guys, but it's what you should be doing across that entire slate. Where if you are naturally going to get a lot of Jokic and Tatum, and lineups where you don't have Jokic or Tatum, or even just in general, you should boost SGA to some amount to get that guy in more, because really him putting up 65 is as likely as probably Tatum putting up 65. Not as likely as Jokic putting up 65, but still pairing him with Jokic is going to be appealing in some lineups. The way that I have this exposure right now is not what I would recommend unless you want to take kind of a strong stand, because these guys, to me, like if you have one of Jokic, Tatum, SGA put up a slate-breaking performance, you need to have that guy. And right now, like I'm fading SGA more than I should with only 5% ownership in the field at 39. But, that's also, just different ways to play it. Like if you wanted to play it and take the stand here on Jokic or Tatum, that'd be fine. And I certainly will be doing that to some extent. But in reality, like if you're a sharp DFS player, what you do is you look at projections, you look at what's happening normally with them, and you kind of create ways to leverage off of that and give yourself a boost to get other guys who have, similar ways to make winning lineups around them. So SGA is one of those guys for me, but the field's getting there enough. Karl-Anthony Towns. So he was awful last game, but it was mostly foul trouble for him that led to the issues. Still produced over 1 fantasy point per minute, if I'm remembering correctly. Let's go to this popcorn machine here. So Towns got to 31.5 minutes with the overtime. Second quarter, though, he picked up his third foul. First quarter, he picked up 2 fouls in the first 5 minutes. The issue for him, I think he did pick up a fourth here, too. He picked up a fourth pretty early in the third quarter, so he could have gotten himself to high 30s minutes, maybe low 40s minutes if things really broke his way. The issue for Towns last game is that he was guarding Tatum a good amount, and Tatum kept baiting him into fouls. That wasn't great for him. For Towns at 7,600, though, the price tag's too low. Towns has been not as good of a player as we talked about last time the Knicks played. Towns has not been the same guy in the playoffs so far. He's only averaging 1.06 fantasy points a minute with 21% usage, a 6% assist rate, 16% rebound rate. Every stat for him is down by a good amount here. And Brunson's doing more, and Anunoby's doing more. Josh Hart's doing the same amount. Bridges is doing a little bit less, but still enough close to where he was in the season. The Towns is really the only one who's playing appreciably worse at this point. But I think you buy into the fact that the foul trouble cost him last game. He still produced well enough when he was out there. So I am on Towns again, 53% for me, Fields at 24%. But I do think my Towns stand is one where, like, I think he's just way too cheap. First of all, it's 7,600, but like this is the kind of this is kind of a spot where if you play Towns and you don't play Jokic or some amount of lineups, like that could absolutely be a thing that kills you if Towns sucks again. I still like Towns. He made me a lot of money throughout the regular season, so I'll keep being there. But I do think for you guys out there, like you don't have to be 2x the field like I am. I am a Towns backer, and my data has been for a while. Shout out CM311 joining. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the boys talking tea in the chat as well. And again, guys, show some love if you can. Check out the subscribe button, hit the like button, all the deal here. You guys know stuff. And appreciate all the kind comments too. Been seeing some new names, so I think YouTube algorithm may be finally giving us a little more boost. So shout out to all guys who are leaving some nice comments lately about the show, and show some love if you can. Subscribe, hit the like button again here most days at 1 p.m. Doing the show for all the playoff slates, and that'll continue on through the finals as long as there are big tournaments. I'm actually gambling on them. Jalen Brunson, 22% for me, Fields at 23%. I don't love this, given that Brunson keeps breaking slates. And again, my stand is on Towns. Brunson's been the one who's been beating out projections every single time. And Brunson's not getting more expensive at 8,200 either. So he's basically the same price tag. I think he actually might be a little bit lower than where he was last time out. So Brunson playing 40 minutes, getting a ton of usage at this point. This playoff so far, he's had 34.2% usage, 33% assist rate, 1.2 fantasy points a minute. Not shooting too well at 55% true shooting, but again, that could go in waves for sure if he gets hot. So for Brunson, to me, I don't want to be under on him. I do think that the field will definitely be more excited to play Brunson than they will Towns. I'll be more excited to play Anunoby as well with the big game he had last time out. I like the game theory of playing Towns a lot more and Brunson with the field. I do think, though, just my basketball eye, what I've seen for myself and what the results have been data-wise so far, with enough of the sample size accruing, Brunson has been a better player and a different player in the playoffs. Towns has been a worse player and a different player in the playoffs. And the projections, because they look at the larger term sample size, like you get more Towns or I get more Towns and less Brunson. You can see here in the Stokastic projection, they've already started to weight Brunson higher. So I like Towns today, but I wouldn't blame you if you like Brunson more. Jalen Williams, cheap at 7,400 as well. Again, for the last game for him, I actually don't know how he did fantasy-wise in that spot. I don't recall offhand. He was in a lot of my lineups, but I don't recall him being special or killing me. 16 points, 14 peripherals, minus turnovers. So that seems like a good enough day for him. Maybe not a great one, but one doesn't kill you in a lineup. Jalen Williams, look, he's got to play the minutes. You can see here that he played 38 minutes here, a little bit less than SGA, but more than everybody else on the team. With that first game loss, I don't think we're quite in desperate times, desperate measures. Portion of things for the Thunder, but certainly him playing more minutes here, trying to not give away home court advantage entirely, I think would be a thing that you expect today. So Jalen Williams, 7,400, really no issue with him here. 46% of the field's a lot of ownership, but I'm getting 37 here. More than enough, but I guess technically a slight fade for me on Jalen Williams. Jaylen Brown, his fellow Jalen spelled differently. 37% for me in my top 150. Fields at 30%. Brown a little bit too cheap. Certainly if Tatum fails, Brown getting more shots up. And I will think that's one thing, like obviously with yesterday's video, we talked about the theory of Ty Jerome playing more minutes, Garland playing, or not playing rather, Mobley not playing, and how that works out. And how the results went in that game should be really informative for you guys and how you approach NBA DFS, where the reason Ty Jerome failed is, number one, he missed like 14 shots. That's a big part of it. Also lost a few minutes as a result of his inefficiency in play. He ended up closing that entire fourth quarter because of the fact he was shooting so poorly, and in fact had like 2 turnovers at one point that really started things running the opposite way. That ended up leading the Pacers to the win. I would say that was a deciding factor in how the momentum shifted there. But besides that, though, the point is that basically Ty Jerome failed. Everybody else succeeded around him because Ty Jerome's production that's expected there based off the Vegas total, it wasn't there. So instead you had Sam Merrill having a good day, Dean Wade having a good day, Max Strus having an insane day, Donovan Mitchell having an insane day, Jared Allen having a really good day. So every other Cav succeeded because Ty Jerome, who's normally got about 27% usage, 30% assist rate when Garland's not out there, he vacated all his possessions because he just didn't do well with them, and he didn't get the ball at a certain point when the shots weren't falling. That's the same case here for Jaylen Brown, where if Tatum fails at a little bit more ownership, a lot more for me, Jaylen Brown probably played better. Derek White probably played better. Porzingis / Horford might have played better because Tatum is such a high usage guy. If he doesn't succeed, and if you were to go Ty Jerome mode and go 1 for 15, then all of a sudden the points that would be expected from that, 25, 30 points, whatever the case may be, that has to flow somewhere else. So Jaylen Brown to be more appealing in lines without Tatum is basically the net of that. Derek White, same thing. I think they're most functional as leverage plays, but Jaylen Brown cheap enough, Derek White cheap enough to get into some lineups. I would favor Jaylen Brown, though, over Derek White of your secondary Celtics pieces. Jamal Murray playing well lately. Still not well enough for me to get him in lineups a bunch here, so he's not taking the Halliburton leap like we talked about yesterday, where he's been so good in the playoffs. Now I'm finally getting him more compared to where I got him in the regular season. But Jamal Murray, if Jokic were to somehow fail, would look a lot better. Murray still did have good enough production that last game. He put up, looking at the popcorn machine again, he put up 20 real-life points, so 21 points, 9 peripherals there in 44 minutes. Look, not great per-minute numbers, but the 44 minutes is the main thing that he got there as well. At 7K, projected to play 38 minutes. If he does play over 40, you're getting a little bit of a bonus there. I am not on Jamal Murray today, only 7%. Fields at 35, according to Stokastic's data. But Jamal Murray, I think, is most live today because people are going to flock to play Jokic after he put up almost 90 fantasy points last game. Josh Hart, again, a little bit too cheap at 6,700, getting him a little bit here. 21% of my top 150 fields at 27. Not a big stand there, but he's another guy to mix in and feel pretty good about. It's probably a little bit underpriced for the amount of minutes he plays. Aaron Gordon, same principle here. He's been a guy we've played in pretty much every playoff series. Now he's hitting game-winning shots, so I think we bought in at the right time. But Aaron Gordon here out there a bunch, as we talked about earlier, just played almost 40 minutes last game. He's in the hunt to play 40 minutes in every single playoff game for Denver there. Really constricting their rotations as much as anybody besides the Knicks. As for Aaron Gordon here, not quite 2x a field, but a pretty big stand. 63% of my top 150 lineups have him, fields at 40. Derek White, a little bit under the field, 18 compared to 24. And that's your top projected guys as of right now. We'll sort by value. We'll go game by game here. Give you guys the full view as best I can. And let's see what we got in value-wise. Take a sip of water, too. So, again, this is where it's a weird slate. 3 of my 4 top projected guys are also 3 of my top value guys. Jokic, 6.3x value. Tatum, 6.1x value. Towns, 6x value. These guys are all too cheap to me by a substantial amount here, which usually doesn't happen. I mean, if you guys follow the show, obviously been doing streams since end of October on this new channel here for NBA. You normally don't see your highest projected guys also be your highest value guys. It's been the case more in the playoffs, but not even to this extent. To me, Jokic, Tatum, and Towns will be in a large majority of lineups. I will certainly try to get SGA in some as well, but Jokic, Tatum, and Towns are just like priority plays to me based on these projections. And the way they fail is like their team getting blown out because both guys are going to play enough minutes. And I think no matter what, I can't say I think no matter what they're going to make a winning lineup, but I think no matter what, they're going to get you to, in Jokic's case, like 60 to 65. In Tatum's case, probably about 50. In Towns' case, I do think it gets you to 40 no matter what. I think the fail outcomes for all these guys are pretty safe as well. So I would functionally have no issue with like having them in every lineup with the projection, the value they represent at that projection. But the playoffs being the playoffs and it being a 2-game slate, though, you kind of want to shift it around a little bit and get, I think, less than I would get naturally of Jokic, Tatum, and Towns. Caruso, top value again here. In fact, the only player who's like a legitimate value on the screen. He's the only guy under 5K. Caruso put up 40 fantasy points last game, I think it was. He's going nuts lately. How many minutes did he play in that one? Caruso played 26 minutes closed. He's producing out of his mind. I think he had a game that like nobody else in the NBA has ever had before, with the amount of steals and points and whatever he had. I forgot what the exact thing was, but anyone in chat knows. It was like some sort of like Caruso and fucking Magic Johnson are the only guys to pull this off, or it was some stupid stat like that from last game. He went nuts. At a certain point, I think the Caruso bottom does fall out a little bit. He's not playing insane amounts of minutes. He's also taken minutes away from, he didn't take away from Hartenstein last game. He took away from Holmgren a little bit, Dort a little bit. It just feels to me like there's a minutes floor that we haven't seen with Caruso. But look, I've played him on every slate. We talked about him on every slate as top value. He's paid off for, I think, 4 or 5 slates in a row at this point. I'm not going to talk you off Caruso. He's your best value here. 84% of him feels like so much. Fields at 52. But he looks like a great value again. If he's playing 25 minutes, it's hard to ignore him when you just don't have a lot of great values on the slate. Aaron Gordon, Jalen Williams, still good values. Like we talked about, SGA, despite being one of the top projected guys, also a good value, but not quite as good of a value as Jokic, Tatum, and Towns to me. Jalen Brown, still a top value. Brunson, Hartenstein, we haven't talked about at all. Minutes for him were a little bit less egregious last game. Seemingly, they wanted to have him out there against Jokic more, but he did play 29 minutes. Also, I think had foul trouble. No, he only had 2 fouls there. That's it. He got the 3rd foul for his 3rd stint in the 2nd quarter. Then he didn't start the 2nd half for Caruso. Came in, picked up another foul. Was Caruso in foul trouble? 1 foul. No, Caruso wasn't in foul trouble. So they started Caruso. They didn't like the look because Denver was seemingly clawing back in here. You could see on the graph. And again, this is really how, if you want to really dig into every playoff game, this is one way to look at it. Look at how the team went here. So you can see Caruso's in. They don't like how it's going because they were clawing back initially with Caruso, lost the lead, started to get it back. I guess they didn't like the flow with it. Went back to Hartenstein. Hartenstein played. They then went back to Caruso for minutes. Basically a push-pull dynamic with Caruso and Hartenstein for minutes. So Hartenstein, I think, is another guy here, kind of like we talked about with Jalen Brown. If Caruso gets less minutes, it's possible Hartenstein got more because he's playing so well. The 5,700, I think that's a logical thing to do. So if you were setting up an optimizer, like the solver is another way you can build lineups, which I do sometimes when I don't have enough time to run a sim before getting my lineups in. I would say taking Caruso in lineups and then making a rule where it's like, if you don't get Caruso in a lineup, boost Hartenstein's projection by 15%. Because if he steals 4 minutes away and then Caruso gets to 20 minutes, Hartenstein gets to 30, that's where things get a little more interesting for you getting direct leverage on Caruso being so highly owned. Russell Westbrook, another top value here. As we talked about, he's closing games. If Porter Jr. knocks down some threes, he could easily give those minutes up to Porter Jr., but Westbrook is out there a good amount. And seemingly, even though he was a large reason why the coaching staff previously got fired and front office, I guess, not being able to agree on it, they kept playing Russell Westbrook. For some reason, in the playoffs, Adelman keeps playing Russell Westbrook as well. All right, we're going to go game-by-game view here. Then we'll run up unabated. We'll pull up Stokastic as well for the Sims. We'll call it a day here. And again, a lot of this is going to be reductive and similar at this point, but show some love if you can. Subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment. Check out our sponsors too. Again, no presenting sponsor for the show, so just pure affiliate deals going on. But check out Unabated, 20% off, link down below. Lots of great tools going on. They also announced today they're putting out WNBA projections this year. And even though that sounds like not the most fun thing in the world, that is where you'll make a lot of money. Even if you only use market-based data for WNBA, you're going to make a killing for the most part. The sportsbooks don't price WNBA correctly. They don't have good data for it. But for actual projections being made for WNBA, you'll make a lot of money off of that because A, it's a niche market. B, there's just not sharp enough lines on most of the primary sports books, let alone the secondary ones. Really would recommend checking out Unabated. Try it out. 20% off, link down below. It does support the show. And Stokastic, if you want data sims tools for DFS, with some prop betting stuff. I also have Odds Shopper now 50% off, link down below too. Check some of that stuff out. I don't know if I can I don't know if we're going to do Odd Shopper today on screen, but do check out Stokastic in general. Again, great data and sim stuff on there. And if you want betting stuff, their Odd Shopper tool is pretty great. And it all supports the show directly. And I'm doing some new stuff with them this year too, including new best ball streams coming out with Stokastic on their channels for DraftKings starting next week. All right. New York, 100.5 implied points. Boston, 10.5 point favorites here. So with Jalen Brunson, Towns, Hart, and Anunoby, I think we talked about these guys enough. Bridges, I'm still not getting to very much. He's clearly had useful DFS days. Projection-wise, I really don't see how you get there unless you're giving him a boost in lineups where like Hart doesn't make it and Anunoby doesn't make it. But I prefer Towns by a good margin here. We've talked about that enough already. And Anunoby, still with him on it. He really hasn't done a whole lot more in the playoffs. He's just playing a ton of minutes, 19% usage, 0.8 fantasy points a minute, but he does spike randomly. Think that people point chase him a little bit today, so maybe that does make Hart Bridges slightly more appealing. But I think Towns is really the one I'm expecting to be due for a better day, so that's how it should go. Cap, I'd leave the puss at home tonight. You mean just sulking? I mean, look, he got a lot of fouls called at him last game. I'd be sulking a little bit, but frankly, I just think the last few games have gone so poorly in terms of his usage and ceding a lot to Jalen Brunson that I think Towns is really due for an outlier day, but I like Towns a lot. I've been playing him a lot all year, so like I'm definitely a little bit predisposed to Towns here. My projections, frankly, love him, so that is what it is. But the Knicks, clearly a viable team today, though it does seem like total-wise, maybe leaning a little bit more towards the Boston redemption here, smoking the Knicks off the court after blowing a game they probably shouldn't have blown in game one. They also had a lot of volatility in game one. I'm sure you guys saw on social media, but Boston put up a lot of threes in that game, a lot of them ugly ones, but it doesn't really matter. Just the volatility of three-pointers. If they start to hit a few more of those, they win that game. If they hit a lot more of those, they blow out the Knicks in that game. So lower quality shots, it seemed like in that game, but it doesn't really matter. Boston putting up threes. They're going to end up hitting them at some point. Excuse me. Boston, 111 implied points. Tatum here, we talked about he, Jokic, and Towns really the guys I'm going to get in every lineup because of that high value at their salaries. He's coming in 69% of my lineups. Jaylen Brown, 37%. He looks good with Tatum. Will look better without Tatum as well. Derek White would look even better without Tatum for sure. I think that's a reason to try to boost him a little bit more. Kristaps Porzingis, 15% for me. Fields at 30. Not a big Porzingis stand for me, but certainly if you're not playing Tatum, Porzingis looks better. What if both games are blowouts? Who do you lean more towards? McBride? I don't play stuff like that, to be honest. If both games were blowouts, you'd mostly want the players on the blowing out team. Like you'd want probably a Tatum. Like if Boston gets a blowout here, you'd probably want Tatum, probably a Derek White or Jaylen Brown also scored a good amount. Maybe Porzingis. Like you want the starters more because it means probably outlier performance from the starters. Maybe Peyton Pritchard off the bench. I think it would be one way to do that, but that's not the way I play DFS. So I can't really, it's hard for me to kind of think of it that way. Yeah, I mean, the Knicks really too, like the Knicks don't really have guys who are good who are going to come in and fill it up. They don't even have like a Moses Moody type, like McBride would be the closest, I guess, but I really wouldn't try to play it that way. You have such good values on like the kind of expected plays, the normal outcomes. I don't think you need to get super weird with outcomes, but follow your heart. Peyton Pritchard getting 37% of here, Fields at 20. So I do think Pritchard would be a guy who would benefit in a theoretical blowout, but really the main thing for Pritchard is that he's out there playing minutes, projected to play 24 today. He looks good enough. He's been really awful in the playoffs so far, like we talked about during the last or before the last Boston game. Pritchard so far in the playoffs only putting up 0.57 fantasy points per minute on 15% usage and a 7% assist rate. And it's not because he's shooting terribly. He's got 69% true shooting, which is actually like incredibly good for a guy who is a guard. He's got 63% on the year. He's up 6% more. He's just not getting shots, not touching the ball. So that's really the big issue with Pritchard right now. Denver, 109.5 implied points. OKC, 11-point favorite here. So definitely another one that feels teetering on a blowout. So I get Big Rob asking the question. For Denver here, getting a ton of ownership. As we talked about, a lot of Jokic for me, less Murray. If you want to get Murray more, I would try to take out of lineups with Jokic. That'd be the way to do that. Aaron Gordon, 63% for me, good amount. He and Christian Brown, though, functionally very similar plays. Gordon, a better producer. We've seen Gordon get more usage in the playoffs so far overall. He's put up a 20.5% usage rate, which is up from the 19% he had during the regular season. But Aaron Gordon, a good play, but Christian Brown, I think, a very similar play at a similar salary and different positionality as well. Russell Westbrook's closing games lately, as we talked about earlier, though, Porter Jr. probably plays minutes more so if he does get going and actually hit some shots. If Westbrook's playing like Westbrook, then he'll probably get out there more because of him being more reliable than Porter Jr. But if Porter Jr. actually plays well, he'll earn more minutes, and that's a great way to get a little bit of different look in some amount of lineups here. But would not play these guys together, I don't think. Westbrook and Porter Jr. probably worth separating out. One small question with the Celtics is if someone gets more run or new run with no Hauser. I mean, what did Hauser play last game? Hauser played 4 minutes. I don't think that matters too much. And I was with Porzingis out in the second half too. So like a Hauser, I really don't think matters too much. If I had to guess, that's just 4 more minutes that could go to Pritchard. I mean, Drew was a little bit low last game. You go to him. But just getting Porzingis back in, you don't really need Hauser in the rotation, I don't think. Definitely don't need Cornette. You only played the 4 minutes in the second half. So that doesn't matter. It's still only 4 minutes, so I don't think it matters. You could feel differently. Anyway, Denver here, very important team. But really, I think it comes down to just that top 5 guys. Peyton Watson, the field's playing 17% of. He did play some backup 5 for Denver recently, but for Watson, not really a player that I think matters too much on the slate, though he is 3,100 and nobody else on the slate who's playable is. For OKC here, SGA is your priority. Jalen Williams much more affordable at 7,400. Chet Holmgren, breaking some free throws last game, maybe some redemption for him today. I've not gotten Holmgren much all year. What he's done in the playoffs is not going to make me get more. Usage rate of 23% is pretty good. 1.26 fantasy points per minute is also a little bit better than he was during the regular season compared to the 1.21 he had, which you can see over here. But Holmgren to me, I don't know. I'm not getting there, and I'm okay with it. But getting everybody else here, really more Jalen Williams, Hartenstein, Caruso, a lot of Kason Wallace still coming in here. He still feels to me like your most live Caruso pivot in terms of the positionality and all that. But like in reality, I think it's probably Hartenstein and Caruso mostly competing to be that 5th man in a closing group. So Caruso, I think when you're not playing him, boost Hartenstein, maybe boost Wallace as well. You can play Caruso and Wallace together, but the margins are real thin for Kason Wallace at that point. He's not a great producer overall, but he did play 21 minutes last game. So this is the Thunder. This is the slate. Seems like it's really obvious plays, which of course means that all the obvious plays will fail and we'll go a different way. Let's go to Unabated next. Let's see what they have here for us. And let's try not logging out. Let's just do it. We're going to raw dog it here. Hope it doesn't boot me out. But let's check out Unabated and what they have going for us. This actually might need a refresh anyway. We're going to use the market-based data today. Yesterday, we had the conditional projections. We did the stream a little bit later. They come out at 2:30 Eastern time every day, so that's the time frame you get if you want to use Unabated's data. But we are going to instead just do the market-based stuff for now. And, of course, check out Unabated, 20% off market-based data. Conditional projections, they released that are proprietary to the team, made by Justin Fan and the crew over there. So check that stuff out for yourself. But market-based look is also always a fine one here. Big difference between Unabated's market-based projections as well and their custom ones, their conditional ones, is that for that, the conditional projections, you want a higher ROI. A 5% or higher sim ROI is what you're targeting there. For market-based data in general, 2% or higher is the rule of thumb. 1% or higher is also playable, but I would say try to get 2% or higher for market-based data. And basically, if you're not familiar with market-based projections, and I don't talk about in a lot of length here, what Unabated does basically is take a bunch of sports books, roll them all together, weighted accordingly to who gets things priced the most correctly on every single bet. And then you use that data to basically price every single bet out across all the sports books. That's how they run their data. It's a very good way of doing it. It's how we ran things with my startup probably back in the day of 2024. Kristaps Porzingis over 14.5 points. So was ill last game. Now should be playing a good amount of minutes again here after not playing the second half. 3.3% EV for Kristaps Porzingis over 14.5 points. And that's on DraftKings at minus 120 odds. Not playable anywhere else. But you can see here for the PrizePicks lines at 15.5. Underdog was at 16.5. And seemingly moved up even more. So 14.5 here. Very soft line on DraftKings right now for points. Karl-Anthony Towns under 19.5 points. I don't want to see that here, but it does look like a plus EV bet. 2.8% EV for Karl-Anthony Towns under 19.5 points according to Unabated's market projections here. Minus 125 odds on DraftKings is the line for that. And that's all the bets. Actually, no, Mike Conley for tomorrow. Mike Conley over 5.5 points. Minus 118 odds on FanDuel. That looks okay as well. 2.3% EV on that. Rebounds coming up next. We'll see what we got here. Was that a 15%? Wow. All right, really high EV for SGA on PrizePicks and Underdog. Mispriced line, it looks like, because DraftKings has it at 5.5. So over 4.5 rebounds for SGA. 12.6% market EV on PrizePicks and Underdog. So that should be the first one you add on if you are doing a, frankly, minus EV pick'em card is what they all inherently are. But PrizePicks and Underdog 12.6% EV for SGA over 4.5 rebounds. Kristaps Porzingis over 5.5 rebounds, 7.1% EV. That one's just on Underdog, so another pick him to add on there. Porzingis over 5.5 rebounds, definitely getting some more minutes today with him missing the second half last game. Al Horford, a lot of market-based lines here, actually. Horford over 5.5 rebounds, plus 105 odds on DraftKings looks the best. That gets you 5% EV for Al Horford over 5.5 rebounds at plus 105. Naz Reid over 5.5 rebounds for tomorrow, plus 118 odds on FanDuel. Gets you 3.3% EV. And that is it for now for rebounds. Assists coming up next. Make sure we're pulling it all in. All right, Jason Tatum over 5.5 assists, 7.8% EV on Underdog. Line is mispriced here at over 5.5. It's over 6 on PrizePicks, over 6.5 on DraftKings. So Underdog over 5.5 here. Actually, pretty decent little pick'em card you could build. These 3 Underdog bets we just saw. Jalen Williams under 5.5. Frankly, this one too. Under 5.5 assists for Jalen Williams. Also an Underdog, 6.8% EV. So that's a good pick'em to build there. Add that on top with Jalen Williams. This Derek White bet also looking good in Underdog too. 4.8% EV for under 4.5 assists for Derek White. The usual pick'em odds. Jalen Brunson, what, they just not price assists today? Jalen Brunson under 6.5 assists, also looking very plus EV, 4.8% EV. These are really high EV numbers relative to market-based data, guys. So if you are a little pick'em slut, I would recommend getting these in today. Now Alex Caruso, 3% EV under 3.5 assists for him. That one is also an Underdog, 3% EV. This is a lot more than you're getting normally. Somebody's asleep at the wheel in Underdog, but that's the case a lot for them. PRAs. Let's go next here. All right, only a couple PRA bets, so things more priced appropriately here. Porzingis over 22.5 PRAs, minus 120 odds on DraftKings. It's a 2.6% EV, and that is your best bet right now for PRAs. Porzingis over 22.5 PRAs at minus 120 odds on DraftKings. Jaylen Brown over 30.5 PRAs, minus 120 odds on DraftKings. It's a 2.2% EV, and those are the only ones you'd want to play on here. This Anthony Edwards one, probably not. DiVincenzo, probably not. So that's your bets. That Underdog card looking real live. I think a lot of good bets on DK as well. So hopefully that adds some value. Of course, with Unabated, people have won $70,000 using all their premium conditional projections. 30 minutes for tip-off, 5% or higher ROI for all the bets on there. And that's legitimately, they have the graph here that we show you guys, or I did show you guys a lot more during the regular season, but you see this graph here of performance that they haven't updated since March, even though they do update in the Discord. A lot of money being made by people using Unabated data. And again, if it helps give you peace of mind, it's a lot of people, frankly, using that product that gamble a lot more than you or I do. We're talking people wagering tens of thousands of dollars in a given day, and this is how they make their money. They use Unabated's data for that edge that they have, the product as well. And it's a great product, and really, even if you are not a professional bettor like some of those folks, using tools that professional bettors use that are still not too complicated and you can get it and use is really a good thing for your bankroll and really for your knowledge about betting. So check it out for yourself at Unabated. It's a great tool, and really they were a great partner all NBA regular season, and hopefully we'll do more with them coming up in the coming years, months, decades. I don't know. Let's go to Stokastic next. Last stage of our journey here. So earlier you saw a sim with my data overlaid on top. Now you'll see just what Stokastic thinks. No influence for me here. Of course, you can check out Unabated for 20% off. Link down below. Check out all Stokastic stuff. Their DFS products, all 15% off. And that deal is for every month. It's not just your first month. So it's a little bit of a difference from the promos that they'll give you guys at some of the shows I do over there or that they do without me, which unfortunately they have to do some of. But check out Stokastic, 15% off, link down below. And is again in perpetuity every month, every week that you get a sign up using that promo code or link down below. You do get to get that deal going for yourself. And then half the money you pay to Stokastic goes to me. So it supports the show. It's really the big thing we have here. And join the Discord as well. $5 to join if you want to just get in the channels there down below. Of course, you can also see the data I show you on screen and get access to my projections as well for the Squirt Squad tiers and the VIP tiers down below. But check it out. It does support the show if you join the channel and getting in the Discord, trying to build a community here of people that are not stupid about gambling, hopefully, and trying to get smarter about it every day because that's all any of us can do. Join the Discord there. Show some love. And it's very easy to join there. Just sync your YouTube to your Discord and you'll be good to go. Maybe be able to gamble for decades together. I hope so. Glaze me with grass. I don't want to glaze you. Don't say glaze me. Like, no context do I want to glaze. Do I not? I don't want to cover you in semen, nor do I want to talk overly favorably about you with graphs. I appreciate green check mark, but I don't want to glaze. I'm not glazing anybody. I don't glaze anything. I don't even glaze myself. So I guess if we're using, again, the cum definition, probably don't want that either. Hey, kid. And Kitty, the dog's laying with me. I'll pick her up because we got to fill some time. Here's Kitty. Say hi, Kitty. Hello, everybody. There we go. There's Kitty the dog. You can sit here. All right. I'll sit her on my lap. Let's see if she'll stay like this. All right, your top ROI plays. We got Kason Wallace at number 1, Peyton Pritchard, Josh Hart, Jalen Williams, Porzingis, Caruso, Holmgren, and Jokic. Do you think the Wallace and Caruso together is asking a lot here? But, you know, Caruso and Wallace, maybe 2 out of the 3 of them, and Hartenstein can hit. So I think that's okay overall. Look at this dog. I just love this dog. She doesn't react. She just sits here stoically, which is really what I love the most about her. Peyton Pritchard, Alex Caruso at number 2, Jalen Williams, Aaron Gordon, Kristaps Porzingis, Lou Dort, Chet Holmgren, Nikola Jokic. So Jokic in your top 2 lineups here. You also get Caruso in both, so nothing unexpected so far. Number 3, you get Kason Wallace, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Josh Hart, Aaron Gordon, Alex Caruso, OG Anunoby, and Jalen Williams. So Caruso in the top 3 so far. Kason Wallace making 2 out of the top 3. Number 4, Kason Wallace again. Caruso again. Dort again. Josh Hart, Karl-Anthony Towns. He makes 1 finally. Russell. Oh, cutie. Hi. No, we're not making out. You're just going to stare at me like this? Okay. Good. Is this love? Is that... This looks ridiculous. Anyway, Kason Wallace, Caruso, Dort, Hart, Towns, Westbrook, Jalen Williams, Jokic. Really not an unexpected lineup at all, but it works. The Kason Wallace part, definitely the part that makes you feel the less good. Here, you can go back. I know. You probably don't want to sit like a human. I understand. Here's your deer antler. Number 5, we got Drew Holiday, Kason Wallace, Peyton Watson, Jalen Williams, Nikola Jokic, Alex Caruso, Aaron Gordon, SGA. So I guess observation-wise, definitely getting a lot of thunder for sure. Less Jalen Brunson than I would have thought. Jalen Brunson not coming to the mix at all. No Tatum up top, which scares me a little bit. We'll see what we get the rest of the way. I hope it's pure love. I think it was more for her. I think it's more just like, what are we doing, man? She feels like she's got a lot of awareness of just the bullshit that she's subjected to. But she doesn't overreact to it, which is what I appreciate about her after having very overreactive dogs in the last generation. That's true. She can't believe the ancillary OKC piece. She's like, Kason Wallace, what are they doing out there? I'm a dog, and I think that's foolish. But Alex Caruso, your top ROI player according to Stokastic, a negative 0.1% ROI. Negative number doesn't matter, especially for a guy who's going to be played as much as Caruso. He is your top player by Stokastic data by a wide margin, if I'm going to guess. Probably going to be your highest exposed guy. Nikola Jokic, negative 5% ROIs at number 2. Kason Wallace right behind him. Jalen Williams behind him. Porzingis, Westbrook, and Pritchard. So Kason Wallace, I'm not surprised because he's a $3,500 player who's playing 20 to 25 minutes. He just doesn't do anything out there. Like, that's really the big issue. Kason Wallace so far in the playoffs, 0.64 fantasy points a minute, 9% usage, 15.5% assist rate. Shooting terribly. He's probably going to shoot better at some point with 43% true shooting. But, like, he is just doing nothing out there. So it's a lot of Kason Wallace. But we've said it before, frankly, sometimes Stokastic in the sim gets a guy in there for football, for NBA as well. Like, where you're like, I don't know why this guy's popping up. He's popping up so much. And that guy ends up having an outlier day because the data is just putting you there and it's doing it for a reason. Kason Wallace looks like that guy today. Your top exposed players, though, Alex Caruso, an 85% of lineups, fields at 47, so really big stand. About 2x the field on Caruso. Nikola Jokic, 67% fields at 40, so big pro stand on Jokic as well. Jalen Williams, 63% fields at 42, so Jalen Williams looking like the pay down option they want to get to, or the mid-tier option, I guess I would say, at 7,400. Aaron Gordon, 49% of lineups, fields at 38, so they like him as well today. He's another player to me that I've had him in pretty much in every slate that the Nuggets have been on. I feel like I've played him 70% every single time out, and he hasn't been the one that's killed me in any slate. So I do like Aaron Gordon here again today. Kason Wallace, 42% fields at 24. It's a lot of Kason Wallace. I get the price tag working. He's just doing absolutely nothing in the playoffs so far. Westbrook, 41% fields at 33. That makes sense. He's been closing lately. Though, again, Westbrook, if he doesn't close, it's probably because Porter Jr. had a great day. SGA, 39% fields at 39 as well, so flat with the field on that. Highest leverage guys, Caruso, Jokic, Jalen Williams, Kason Wallace. You're getting all these guys 20% or more above the field, basically. Aaron Gordon, 10% more than the field. Porzingis, 9% more than the field. And Russell Westbrook, 7% more than the field. Your most negative leverage guys, we got Christian Brown here, negative 22% leverage. So they're not playing him at all. Definitely a lean towards Aaron Gordon, which I get. Gordon's a better fantasy producer, but Brown is still out there a bunch of minutes. That, if things go his way, that's how you kill that Aaron Gordon chalk. Derek White, negative 19% leverage. Only 5% of Stokastic's top 150 lineups have him. Mikal Bridges, negative 16% leverage. Only 5% of lineups with him in the top 150. I support that. Even if he hits, I'm just okay not playing Bridges for myself, generally, with how he's played all year. Great defender. Sometimes knocks down shots, but not a great fantasy producer. Drew Holiday, 6% exposure, so negative 16% leverage on him. Jamal Murray, you're getting 14% less than the field. Field's at 36%. You're only getting 23 here, rounded up. Jaylen Brown, negative 12% leverage on him, and Towns, negative 11. So they're low on Towns. They're really not getting any Towns. 10% Towns. Where are they on Tatum? Tatum, they're under on as well. Where are they on SGA? That's right. They're flat with SGA. Where are they with Brunson? 15% on Brunson. So really just playing Jokic, Jalen Williams. That's it. Those are the guys. And SGA, a good amount. So, all right. Going to be differences for me today with Stokastic data. That's it. Are the Sims versus in Showdown? And look, they love the OKC Denver game. It happens sometimes. And I guess, relative to team totals, I get why it would be. You are talking about in that OKC Denver game, 230 combined points compared to 211.5. So that's definitely the logic for it. But yeah, your way to get unique would be hitting on the New York Boston game stack and then hoping that game puts up 250 or something like that. And then Denver OKC just gets where it's expected to go. Which is possible, but it's a really big gap between totals. I will say that 18.5 points between two games is I get why the projections are pushing you more towards OKC and Denver. But that's how Stokastic data looks, guys. I'm going to give you guys my splash plays for the day. Well, the one last run through the plugs again. And guys, if you enjoy this content, please do show some love if you can. Subscribe down below with the like button, leave a comment, trying to fight the YouTube algorithm because really people don't watch as much playoff DFS content, but I still love it. Still love doing the DFS, still loving the run through prop betting. I still love building my data every day. I have a lot of fun playing NBA, so that's why I keep doing it every day and showing some love here, even though not getting paid per stream by Unabated like I was all regular season. But I do this for the love of the game. Hopefully you guys are here too for the same reason. So show that love back, hit the like button, subscribe. It goes a long way here. Check out Unabated, 20% off too. If you want to see me continue to do this content, supporting the show and our affiliate partners is a great way to do that. 20% off for Unabated. And again, you get in there for the market-based stuff, additional projections, and their WNBA stuff. I am sure we'll be making a mint coming up in the coming weeks and months. And Stokastic, 15% off, link down below for their Sims and DFS stuff. You want to check out Odd Shopper, their betting tool. You can also get that for 50% off. Link down below too. But check out some of the stuff there. Again, great partner for me too, as they, of course, give me more work here as a contractor. I'll also be on their MLB stream today at 5 p.m. So if you want to see my takes for the baseball slate, you get those there coming up in a little bit. And my takes have been good for baseball. My lineups this week, less good. They were really good last week, but we'll see what happens today. Anyway, splash plays for the day. They have to be the big three guys. I just don't often get guys that are highest projected as well as being my top values. Jokic, Tatum, Towns, those guys will be in the majority of my lineups today. Hard for me to ignore them. Caruso's going to make a lot as well. Like I mentioned, for lineups where I don't have Caruso, I will bump Hartenstein as well as bumping Cason Wallace. Just hoping to get some outcome if Caruso doesn't hit. But Caruso's probably be in like 70 to 80% of my lineups, so it's going to be hard to avoid no matter what. Besides them, Aaron Gordon, another splash play today. I think Westbrook technically a splash play because I'll have about half my lineups with him. And that's going to be more than the field will have. But that's probably it. Jokic, Tatum, and Towns is the big one. I mean, we talked about it enough up top here, but a lot of Jokic, a lot of Tatum, a lot of Towns. The projections for them are just insane today for me, and I default to my data always. So even when I get Ty Jerome, you got to trust the process every day when it's worked for you in the past. Make sure to gamble responsibly, guys, even though it's always money time here. Make sure to follow the show at Splash Play Bets, this channel. Check out my NFL channel at Splash Play Pod. Going to be, I think, doing a basketball stream tomorrow and Fridays where I'm going to try to do. At the very least, there'll be one Friday there, but check that out if you want to gamble on the NFL. This time of year, you can do it with me and we can do it well. But I'll be back tomorrow for another NBA slate, back on Stokastic at 5 p.m. I'll see you guys for one of those. Hopefully, if not, enjoy your days. Good luck. See you guys soon. Bye-bye. Oh, wait, I just changed the background. Instead of hitting the outro. Okay, bye-bye.